Welcome to the Thoroughly Wrong Project with Lalo and Bob. We appreciate you spending some time with us today. Let's jump right into that weekly dose of things you can disagree with. Take it away, guys.
All right. Welcome to this week's Thoroughly Wrong Project. I am a little hungover, Lalo. Little bit. So
that little bit sounds like a lot of bit.
Yep. Well, after you've been sober for a really long time and then you drink, it's like drinking an airplane. It punches you right between the eyes pretty fast.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Before we started, I got up this morning. I felt like shit. I haven't felt like shit for a long time. I took some pills. I overslept. Yeah, alcohol is good for you, man. It's great. How you doing, bro?
Sunday, so
that's right. That's my day off. I'm allowed to do that. How you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm not hungover. I'm just tired.
Oh,
it's pretty much the same thing.
Pretty much the same thing. Have you been to any more super spreader events recently?
No, not recently. I did. It's very. That reminds me. So I went to that concert, right? The one I told you about last week or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So I'm in like some one of those like beer league, like softball leagues, and our first game was that same day of the concert. So I told my friend, like he's like the team manager, and I was like, "Hey, I'm not gonna make the first game because I have to go to a concert." He's like, "Oh, that's fine, no worries." So one of my other friends, we were like in a group chat. And he's all like, "Hey, can I go for him? Like, just for fun." I've never played in a softball game, so I'm down to try it. And he's like, "Yeah, I mean, it's only one game. It was like a placement game,
Right.
So he's like, "Yeah, come through." So he goes to the game, and now my friend that like replaced me for that game, and then my friend that's the team manager, they both have COVID. And I'm pretty sure they got it at the game because that's the only place they were both at,
Beautiful.
So I went to like this fucking jam-packed Dodger Stadium with like 40,000 people. Nothing. And they go to like this like little softball game. And they're both dealing with COVID now. And they're both unvaccinated, so.
Nice. So they might die. That's great. So you killed someone, Lalo. That's...
I mean, he wanted to go.
Yeah, but you went to see Weezer, and you may have offed someone. That's on you, bro.
I think that's a fair trade.
Okay. Well, my father-in-law and his wife went to a concert in Pittsburgh. She was sick when she went, and now she has it, my father-in-law has it, my mother-in-law has it, and her husband has it. And everybody's in poor health to begin with. So, nice. Yeah, who knows?
Well, she was already sick when she went?
Yeah, she was. Okay. 3 or 4 people from her work had it. And then she felt bad, and she was like, well, I don't think I have it. And she shows up. So the whole fucking world has lost its mind. And I'll say, to my detriment, I spent money that I didn't use the tickets. I was going to go see Daughtry on Friday, and I just fucking opted out, dude. I was like, nah, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to close myself up in Rabobank Theater to listen to somebody that I don't like all that much anyway. It just seems stupid and dangerous to do it. So I just blew the tickets off.
No regrets.
Well, it was Daughtry, so
that's understandable.
So you go to the Weezer concert and you get COVID and you die, and that's cool. But he went to see Daughtry and he got sick.
Daughtry's not worth dying. I can tell you that right now, and I didn't even know about him.
Well, I already saw him once, and it was awful. And
wait, is it one person?
Yeah, it's a guy. He was on one of those shows.
I've thought this whole time it's like a band.
No, it's a guy.
That makes
It's a
even less of a reason. No offense to any Daughtry fans.
there's none out there. I don't think. I think they only wanted to go see Daughtry because they'd been home for so long. It's like, well, okay, we'll go.
That sounds like those people that usually come to like the fair, you know,
Yeah, pretty
like
much. She's,
on that category of celebrity, I guess.
is there a place here in town called The Well?
The Well,
Yeah,
maybe,
like a,
but not that I've heard of.
like a dive bar kind of situation. Because I was downtown yesterday, and Edema. You remember Edema?
No.
Yeah, Edema was like a one-hit wonder from the late '90s, early 2000s. It's John Davis's brother from Korn. They had like one hit. Now they're down to singing in dive bars. So if you want to go see Edema, everybody, they're here in town somewhere.
So,
Somewhere. Like Nelly singing at the fair, man. I mean, it's funny how these people like sell out places for a couple years, and then all of a sudden it's like, hey, at the Kern County Fair, it's Nelly.
yeah, you gotta keep up with the times or get left behind. I've noticed that the fair is it's one of those like places where you either go like right before you blow up, at least the Kern County Fair,
Yeah.
or like after you're like washed and like, you know, just like chilling, trying to make some money.
Trying to make some money.
Because like because I've like the Foo Fighters have been here once. There's like this country band called Old Dominion that I like. They were here once at the fair, and then they like blew up. And I guarantee you, they're never coming back to Kern County until they're like washed. The
Well,
Foo Fighters are never coming back to Bakersfield until they're like doing their retirement tour or something.
well, I went to see Nine Inch Nails here, so you never know. They were like gone for 5, 6 years and hadn't done anything, and then they opened their tour here for some fucking weird reason. But I got to see that.
Yeah, I think like the only like consistent, like kind of super famous person that I've seen is like Carrie Underwood. She comes every few years. We get a lot of like country people.
Yeah, well, that's because of Buck Owens and all
Owens,
that shit.
yeah.
Streets of Bakersfield, man. The I know the thing about winding down, I was talking to my kid last night, and she was, talking about singers and shit. I don't know any of the shit that's going on today in music. And I said, you've heard of the Rolling Stones? And she said, yeah. I said, they've been around since 1960. And she was like, what? Yeah, you're talking about, what's that, 60 years of the Rolling Stones and Pink Floyd and all these people that have been around for fucking ever. And nowadays it's like you blow up, you have one song, you're on TikTok, and you're done. I mean, and then I guess is that the people we're getting at the fair now?
Yeah, probably. I've noticed that this past like year and a half that especially like because you mentioned right now TikTok, I've noticed that that's become a very big like a springboard for artists.
Yeah.
Either like big artists or like small artists. Like if you could get your song to be part of like some trend or like some dance that becomes trendy on TikTok,
Yeah.
like your shit's gonna blow up.
Like
I've seen it
shuffle
happen.
dance or some shit like that.
Yeah, or like people just make random ass dances on TikTok, like to any song, and people like after a while of seeing people dance to that same song, at some point they're like, oh, I like that song. Let me try to find it,
Yeah.
on Spotify or whatever, and you like that artist just blows up. And I've even seen like old songs, like early 2000 songs.
Old
Like those
songs from early
or like older
2000s.
songs,
Fuck you, Lalo.
like older songs, like well, at least for me, they'll like resurface because like they became some part of like a trend on TikTok, and then people are like, oh, like, this song's like really good, and then there's like other people like around my age or a little bit older, they're like you guys don't know anything about this, like this song's been around forever, blah blah.
Right.
So it's really cool to see kind of um like that ability to like, you know discover like new music through that certain like medium.
Yeah.
um I don't know, it's just really cool to see. Like, I remember there was like a dance to like some uh like Kendrick Lamar fan, and I'm like a huge Kendrick Lamar fan, and uh like all the comments were like, this song's been out since like 2012. Like, what you guys been on? The song's been good. And
I
it's
don't.
just really cool.
I just did get Instabook and Facegram myself, so I don't know what the fuck's going on, dude. I don't have TikTok. I I feel autistic if I see, I'm like on Instagram and those, like you said, one of those songs. It's like, here's this chick dancing to it, here's this dude dancing to it, here's this guy dancing to it, and it's the same fucking song snippet over and over and over again. And I feel like I'm having a seizure. So
Yeah, it's weird. It's like a weird like concept, like TikTok.
yeah,
But I feel like it's one of those that it's gonna be like a mainstay when it comes to like social media.
yeah,
Um, I feel like its ability to like last is very high because there's like
but
new trends or like new dances or like new whatever. Like, there's like so much you can do on TikTok. You could do like music, you could do like short form like videos, and you could do like like little clips, funny clips. Um, it's a good place for like teasers, that you
yeah.
can tease something and be like, hey, you want to watch the whole thing? Go to my YouTube channel or whatever. Um, so I feel like it's very like diverse. Um, so
Who owns it?
uh, I mean, I think it's like from China, but we have like a United States, like, I don't know, base, I guess. There's like a United States section.
Is it polluted with? I see. I don't have it, so the only thing, the closest thing I have to it is Instagram, and it doesn't. I've
It's
filtered.
very
Can you
like
filter people?
what do you mean?
Like, is TikTok have the crazies on there with the political shit and
Oh yeah, there's like whole sides, like it's very like it kind of caters to you, like based on the videos that you like. It'll like show you more of that. Like,
Okay,
I like a bunch of like computer videos, and I'll see like there'll be like an uptick on like videos dealing with like computers, or like political videos, or
yeah,
like if you watch a lot of like soccer videos or whatever, whatever it may be, it'll kind of like cater to you and show you more of that. Um, so
all right,
it's cool. I like it. I like it for like what it is. I can appreciate it for what it is. I know there's like that whole like category of people that are just like, oh, TikTok's like, lame, or like it's for little kids and blah blah. But I mean, I feel like there's definitely something for everybody on it. And I think the way like that short like form like that short form factor of videos, I think it's very like it can reach a lot of people, because I feel like we just have short like attention spans. So like
you're
that's really
damn
good
right we
for us.
do.
That's like really good for us, like here's a fucking 20-second video. It's funny or it's cool, whatever. Watch it, you can like it or whatever, and then to the next one.
To the next one we go, and you don't. It seems that our attention spans are getting shorter and shorter and shorter, and the only thing that holds our attention now that seems to be getting longer are fucking movies, which used to be, when I was growing up, a movie was like 90 minutes, and now you're talking about you can go see a superhero movie that lasts almost 3 fucking hours. You got an old guy has to, there's no way to go take a piss without missing something. So
Yeah, so it's a very good or I don't know, good. I mean, it kind of depends on who you ask, but I think it's a good like platform for what it is, at least.
don't have it. I guess I'll go get it and try it. But then, it seems like everybody the big joke about TikTok is you get sucked into it, and then 4 hours later you're like, oh, what the fuck happened?
I mean, that's kind of the point of it, to kind of give you like
Oh my god,
it's one of
no.
those things where you'll be like scrolling through the videos, and then next thing you know, it's like an hour and a half later.
Yeah, I'm hungry. Gotta take a piss. And
It's one of
I
those
don't know.
things. It's really good for when you're like on the toilet and you're bored, you know.
That's what magazines are for, man. I know they don't have those anymore.
So it's really good for that one hand, like just scroll for like 2 minutes.
Now you're talking about something else, Lalo. Those those girls in short skirts doing those shuffle dance videos. You need one hand for that, right?
No comment.
So listen, man. I wanted to bring this up. Greg Abbott, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a he actually say something about his abortion ban is going to eliminate all rapists from the street? How the fuck does that work?
I loosely like heard something about that. I never like went like looked into it more, but I did hear something about that. Like, do you know what he like
Okay.
said?
The reporter asked a question about the ban, why doesn't the ban making no exemptions for rape and incest? And Abbott just said that's not the point because this bill will eliminate, and I'm quoting him here, eliminate all rapists from the street. I'm
What does
like,
that even mean?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I have no idea. But this guy, he puts his foot in his mouth fucking all the time. That when there was that shooting down there in Texas the day before, they sent out that mass mailing that we got to take back control of our streets. So who knows that he might have caused that. He's a fucking liar. He backs up Trump all the times. He talks about Texas being rampant with voter fraud, and none of this shit's true. So here we have this. The only way I could look at it was like how we're going to eliminate rape is like if you criminalize abortion, then Lalo, I don't know. Because what is the guy going to say? Well, I would rape that woman, but I don't want to get in trouble. So I better not because of the abortion ban. Like I don't think he has any clue what rape is or the mind of a rapist and victimizing women like he does with this bill. He needs to go. He needs to get the fuck out of there, or they need to vote him out.
Yeah, he's like an idiot. And I was like trying to look for like the comments he made, and I just read something real quick about him like saying they're gonna get like every rapist like off the streets, and apparently Texas has like a big rape problem. Like that's one of their biggest like crimes over there. So I mean, if anything, that should be at the forefront of his like concern. That and like their power grid and fucking COVID should be their top three.
Yeah.
But like this law, like people don't understand, and I mean most people don't understand it. I would say, like most advocates for it, like 6 weeks, like 6 weeks pregnant is like almost no time. Like
Yeah.
6 weeks pregnant is the same as being like for a woman or for a person that has a period. That's the same as being two weeks late on your period.
Right.
And if you've ever talked to anybody that gets their period about a period, you'd understand that 2 weeks late is something that's not like out of this world. There's many things that could cause somebody to be 2 weeks late besides being pregnant. Like stress, birth control.
Mm-hmm.
Being ill, like so many things. Like, people have irregular periods all the time.
Yeah.
So for like them to make it 6 weeks, like that's the cutoff date, like that's crazy to me because you're just like there's no way like people are gonna like you're gonna have to fucking get a pregnancy test like every day or every week, like every time you have sex, just to make sure you're not fucking pregnant.
Well, I guess, to make it even harder, maybe they could, you can only have 2 pregnancy tests a month.
Like that's, I don't know. It's
Well,
just
this,
like they say, it's a bunch of like, and I know it's very like cliche, but it's true. When they say it's a bunch of like old white men, like trying to dictate a woman's body, and like if you really think about that, like that should never be like in the realm of possibility. At least,
right.
like why is that even a thing that exists?
But these, here's the deal. The way I look at it is these old white men, they don't give a fuck. They don't care about fucking babies. They don't care about fucking women. They don't care about anything. The only thing they care about is keeping power. So they talk out of the side of their fucking mouth with these, I care about abortion. I don't want to see babies killed and all that fucking bullshit that they say. But they're only saying it because that's what they think their constituents want. That's it. It's not about Jesus. It's not about religion. It's not about pro-life or babies or anything. It's just about what do I need to say and what laws do I need to pass in order to get reelected so I don't lose my job. Because why would Greg Abbott give a fuck about babies? And if you think these laws all the way through, they're not pro-life laws, they're pro-birth laws. Because at the same fucking time that they tell a woman you can't get an abortion, and then they have the baby, and they're like, you can't have welfare, you can't have health insurance, you can't have WIC, you can't have anything. They don't care about the life of that child. They just want it to be born, so that they're the people that support them will say, we're pro-life, so you have to be. That's it. That's all it is. That's all there is to it.
And I mean, this might sound like a little like tinfoily hat kind of,
Well,
but
that's your modus
I
operandi, dude.
part of it I believe is like with a lot of these laws that they make, the people that it impacts the most tend to be like poor people.
Yeah,
If you're rich in Texas and you want to get an abortion, like you're not gonna have an issue.
right. You
But
can
it's
go
these
to
poor people.
someplace where it's illegal.
It's these poor people that don't have that option, that don't have those resources available, that are gonna suffer the most. Like you're forcing them to go through this, unwanted pregnancy, and to me, it kind of just like it continues the cycle of like poverty, because you're
hmm
giving them like a child when one, they don't want a child, maybe they're not suited for a child, maybe they're not in the you know best position to raise a child, um, and it just like pushes forward like the cycle of like the next generation, they're gonna grow up poor,
Yeah,
um, and that's what they want, like to keep like that, you know that bottom class, poor, and you know like that they're gonna need them at some point, so it's just, I mean, I don't think that's like the sole reason. I mean,
no, no.
but
These
I
issues are
definitely
really
think
complicated.
that's like part of the reason, or at least one of their like motives, because like you said, like they're also like pandering to their constituents, and
hmm
trying to get votes, because like that's one thing Republicans can always count on, like
Have you ever
when,
been to Texas?
no, not personally.
It's pretty much like giant church, cow pasture, giant church, cow pasture.
Right. So I feel like every time they need kind of like a little like boost in like popularity or like morale, they'll just like go out and say something like anti-abortion, and they'll just fucking get like, you know, get them riled up and like, hell yeah.
And if that doesn't work, they'll look the crowd straight in the eye and say, 9/11.
So it's,
Yep.
and you know, for the longest time, I think I read somewhere that the church itself was not really like anti-abortion, because I don't think it mentions abortion in the Bible.
No,
Um,
no.
but I forgot what happened.
I think
That
that the church is more anti-sex than they are anti-abortion. And then
right,
they equate sex with, you know, if you're old enough to have sex, then you need to have a baby. You need to take responsibility for that sex. When sex is like exercise, it's like a handshake. It's like a wet handshake. Hey, how you doing? You know, it's like when two people have sex, the church says, well, those two people have, you know, they're bound at the soul, and they do this weird metaphysical thing with sex, making it so fucking important. And then that life that comes from that sex, and because basically what I'm trying to say is a 13-year-old can have sex, but a 13-year-old doesn't have to have a baby. You know, you can't be a mother at that age. And as we go further and further along, when menses starts at 12 and menses starts at 11, and you're getting 10-year-old girls out there who, this fucking thing is crazy now, when a 12-year-old who gets raped by her father can't have a fucking abortion. And I know that doesn't happen very often, but it is happening. And lots of girls way too young to be a mother are getting pregnant.
yeah. And when you bring that up, that's what they tend to tell you, like, oh well, you know, how many people is that actually happening to? And I was like, how many people does it have to happen to for it to matter? You know,
Exactly.
like
It's just three. Well, what about those three people? That's something. Come on.
and like what about them? Like, are you just saying like, you know, oh well, like they're gonna have to live with it?
Yeah.
But it's just that whole like law and like just even the premise of it, it's just insane to me.
Why didn't the Supreme Court take it up though? You know, immediately.
I mean, four of them wanted to, but I think it came down to I was I saw this interview with one of the justices. I forgot who it was, but I'm pretty sure, like, I think it's already getting challenged, isn't it, by like the Department of Justice?
Yeah, the Department of Justice is suing.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm sure it's gonna go through like its whole like process. I think a lot of people were just upset that they didn't take it up, like, because I know there's some cases that they'll like take up like on the spot, you know,
Yeah.
like emergencies or something. And people thought this was like on that level, and I guess they didn't, or at least most of them didn't. A majority of them didn't. So I can see it like being taken up like by the Supreme Court, but just as like any other case that they take up, you know.
But the problem here, the real problem here is being sued by the Department of Justice doesn't stop the law from going into effect. But if the Supreme Court takes it up, that stops the law right there. So this law is going to go into effect while they fight it out in court, and then you're talking about how many thousands of girls out there are going to be forced to have a fucking baby because, like you said, they're not rich. They can't just run over to, you know, Oklahoma or wherever the fuck it's legal and get it done.
Yeah.
So now we've got all kinds of kids being born into a system that can't support them, born into a world where the people that forced them to be born now will refuse to take care of them. So schools are going to, what the fuck now?
I can't imagine the like the welfare and assistance program in Texas are very robust. So, like you said, they're very it's a very pro birth law, not really pro life.
Right. So I I'm not sure that, I don't know. I read somewhere how many millions of abortions there's been since Roe went into effect, and I don't think what anybody the alarmists wanted to look at you and say, like, oh my God, look at all the death. So I want to say, at the same time, yeah, that's a lot of people being killed. I'll give you that, and we should have more stringent birth control advertisements, and you know the ability to have sex and not have babies should be a right. But what if we had these millions of kids in our culture right now, and look at the strain on the welfare system as it is now, and what would it be? And look at the strain on the school system now, and just imagine throwing all those fucking people back into it. And I know it would have been incremental, but still, man, this whole system is so fucked up, and it's just under strain constantly, and we're constantly being told, Social Security's running out, this is running out, that's running out, and then they're like, we got to have all these people to put this extra strain, extra weight on the system. I don't think it would work.
No,
Texas is going to test it out though.
I mean, I don't think it's gonna hold up in the long run. I feel like if and when they do take it up, like the Supreme Court, I think it's gonna get like struck down. At least that's my hope.
That's
But
my
I mean, yeah,
hope,
you're right. Like when it comes to, I mean, like you mentioned, there's been, I don't know, I'm sure there's like a statistic of how many like abortions have been performed since like Roe v. Wade came into effect.
Yeah, 1972, right?
Yeah. So, um, like when you said how many, that's like millions of people or millions of like, dead people, I guess. Um, I just don't tend to look at it that way because to me, like, as, heartless as, you want to call me or whatever, to me, that's like a fetus, or
Yeah,
like a zygote or whatever the term is.
62 million, bro.
It's not like I don't associate that as like, oh, you just, that's 62 million like dead people. Because I mean, like I said, as if you want to call me heartless or whatever, like to me they weren't people, at least not yet.
Right.
Um,
I agree.
so
I'm with you, man. I mean,
and like you said, it's can you imagine like that sort of like that's not a small percentage, like that's not a small number. So
no.
like that extra like weight and like pressure on Social Security, all these other things.
Well, that's 62
Where
million that they took before they were able to be viable. So you're looking at 62 million since 1973 would have been 50 years. Now these people would have been born into a system of poverty, and they would have perpetuated that poverty by having more fucking kids that couldn't have been aborted. So you may be talking about 150 million more population in the United States. Maybe we'd be at 500 million right now.
right, and one thing Republicans don't understand, and like I don't think they could like grasp, is that laws like these they don't stop abortions. What they do is they stop safe abortions.
Yeah.
There's going to be a ton of like back alley abortions now, and, as long as this law is in effect. And all that does is jeopardize like the mother's life. And, that's, to me, that's just an unnecessary like risk that we're making people take. Um, because it's been proven that these like super strict like anti-abortion laws, they don't stop abortion just like criminalizing weed doesn't make people stop smoking weed.
No.
When they criminalized alcohol and prohibition, people were still drinking. Like that's not how it works. That's not how things work. Just because you make something illegal doesn't mean it's not going to happen.
That's really sad.
So like,
when you think about it.
right. So it's like you're just putting more lives, like the lives of like these women, like in danger, um, unnecessarily. And to me, that's just not right.
20 one
You
third of
were
those one third of those were black kids, black women having abortions.
like Candace
One
Owens likes to say, her main her thing when it comes to abortion is she thinks like Roe v. Wade was a way for the government to control like population control for black people. And Candace Owens is just so like she's like stupid. Like I legit like I've talked to people and even at work and like oh I like Candace Owens, like she says some like she has some good points. I was like which one?
which point?
Because I can't see any. Um, like she's just I don't even know how to describe her. Like the arguments she makes.
You're just a contentious fucker. That's all.
Like people have told me Larry Elder to them is like a male Candace Owens, and I was like, okay, is that a good thing? Like, because you're saying like it's a good thing, and Candace Owens is like, have you ever heard her like Nazi comments that she made about Hitler?
No.
She was in front of like this committee, and she was talking about the difference between nationalism and globalism, and how a lot of people tend to get them like confused for the same thing, you know.
Okay.
And she says she's very anti globalism, you know, and she made this comparison of Hitler. She's all like, you know, I think that was my main gripe with Hitler was that he wanted to make, you know, the whole world like he wanted to, you know.
That's my main gripe with
He
Hitler.
wanted to make the whole world, you know, everybody be German, everybody be this. Whereas if he would have just stuck to Germany, that would have been okay with me. And you know, I'm paraphrasing, but you can look it up. And this is legit what she's saying. So she's basically saying like, I'm cool with him, you know, fucking genociding people, as long as he keeps it within, you know, the borders of Germany. Once he started genociding people somewhere else, that's where I draw the line. And I was like, how can somebody say that? And then you're like, yeah, she makes some good points sometimes. Like, no, I can guarantee you anybody that says that never in their life has made a good point.
She could get T-shirts that says "Keep your genocide to yourself."
Right? So it's like that. Like if you've seen like her Joe Rogan podcast with when she's talking about like climate change, she's just like talking in circles to herself. Like she can't like when Joe Rogan asked her like, "Oh, do you believe in climate change?" She's like, "No." Like she like laughs it off. She's like, "No, not even a little bit." He's like, "Well, why not?" And he's telling her like all these things, and she's like he'll pop up this website and he's like, "Oh, what is that? A .com? You really trust that? It's not a .org or something." And then like 5 minutes later, he pulls up this other website, and she's all like, she's like trying to discredit it's like a .org website, and she's all like, well, who wrote this? You know, you can't trust like these .org websites half the time. And I was like, 5 minutes ago, you just said that's the only ones you trust. And it's just, I just think she's very like, she's like those people that just try to get like reactionaries, you know?
Yeah.
Like the Ben Shapiro type. Except Ben Shapiro, I can see why he comes off as smart to some people. Like just the way he talks and stuff. Don't get me wrong, he's still an idiot, but the way he talks
is a little annoying.
Like he comes off as smart, you know, and he went to Harvard and all this shit. But Candace Owens is just like stupid.
Well, I watched Shapiro talk to, oh fuck, what's his name? The guy that was married to Katy Perry, the comedian.
The British dude, right?
Yeah,
I forgot his name. But yeah,
I watched that interview, and you know, every now and then, I have to say he did come off as sounding smart, because he was talking about religion, and he wasn't spouting. He was just like, you know, he's a Jew, and he's an Orthodox Jew and he believes this way, and he really wasn't pushing it on anyone else at the time. But then, like you said, he can say the most crazy shit, and you're like, wait, what? Did you just really say that? Like Abbott or Owens or anybody you speak to who's just, like you said, a reactionary. They just want to be right. It doesn't matter. If you corner them, they'll just change the subject, or they'll personally attack someone, or they'll use some other form of a fallacy to get out of it. And
Yeah.
if you're not quick, like if you're just Joe Rogan, you're not going to catch all that shit. And
Yeah,
there's no
they
way.
try to,
How do you
like,
stop them?
yeah, they try to move like the goalpost a lot. You know, if they say something and then you like say something and like counter it,
Yeah.
they're like, oh well, what about this? You know, a lot of like whataboutisms in their arguments, and they just kind of like keep dragging you along, you know, until eventually you're just like tired out,
Yeah.
and it makes it seem like they won, you know.
It looks like they won when okay, here's a real good example of this. I was talking to somebody the other day, and we were talking about teaching, and I said my argument in this particular exchange was, they mandate that we need firefighters, so they taxpayer train firefighters and pay them. They mandate that we need policemen, and so they train policemen. Every mandate that comes along that the government says this is what we need, taxpayers take care of it, until you get to the teaching. And they say, okay, you have to send your kids to school, and by the way, if you want to be a teacher, that's going to cost you $100,000. And my argument was, we don't pay teachers. And we went back and forth where the person kept telling me, well, it's your choice to become a teacher. And your girlfriend's a teacher, right?
Yeah,
Okay, so you understand if that's more of a calling than anything else. It's not.
yeah,
It's not. I want to, be an electrician. This is a calling, and I kept trying to explain to this person that we shouldn't. If you train a teacher, you shouldn't burden them with $100,000. You should say, okay, this is a noble cause, and when we got down to the end of the argument ended with, well, teaching is overrated anyway. Teachers are overrated. So a lot of these people will get down, exactly. A lot of these people will get down to the end of an argument, and then they'll just say something so broad and so fucking dumb that you're just like, all right, I give up. Okay, because I can't counter that. Why is teaching overrated all of a sudden? Simply because you just want to be right in your argument. And that's what this Candace Owens is. She gets down to the end of the argument and she just says something so broad and so fucking stupid that you're just like, all right, whatever, man. And then all the people that support her go, she won. See? But she didn't say anything.
And I mean, that's like they all have the same audience, like the Candace Owens, Ben Shapiro's, you know, Larry Elder's, like they share like the same audience. So you're gonna, like, I remember I like replied to one of her tweets, and you just get like attacked by like their fucking like mob, you know?
Exactly.
But I mean, it is like I'm not expecting to like get a bunch of likes on a comment I leave on Candace Owens thing that's
Right.
against what she's saying, you know. I just try to like point out the flaws in like their logic and their argument. Like I was talking to somebody about Larry Elder's like education plan or whatever he wants to call it.
Whatever he wants to call it.
Because he's very like, his big thing is like school choice, which means,
Oh yeah, yeah. I saw that.
so this person was like, I was telling him like, you know, there tends to be like a major flaw in like all of his proposals. You know, school choice, homelessness, whatever it may be. And they're like, what's wrong with school choice? Sounds pretty good to me. And I was telling him how school choice it's not a big advocate for change, because chances are it's not going to change much, because if you're a poor kid in a poor neighborhood you're not going to be able to get across town to go to a quote good school, you know,
Right.
and which is what school choice is. Like, oh, parents should have the choice of where they want to send their kids. One, it's going to cause like overpopulations of schools. You know, a bunch of kids who want to go going to want to go to the same school for whatever reason. And then there's going to be kids that are always left behind, and they're going to be stuck at, you know, these like inner city poor schools.
And it's going to make those schools even worse.
Right. Because they're going to have even less kids, which means less like funding. So instead of doing that, what we should do is just equally like don't base a school's funding like mainly on property taxes, because that's how it is. That's how it works right now, you know?
Right.
So if you have a poor neighborhood, you're going to have a poor school because their property taxes are low. Instead of having that, you just, you know, gather it all and equally distribute it. If not, I would even go as far as saying give more funding to the poorer schools, because they kind of have to play catch up, you know? Like, to me, in my opinion, that's a better like way to kind of end this cycle of like, you know, lack of education and poor education and, you know, no funding and, you know, bad teachers, you know, overcrowded classrooms, like all these problems that our education system has. I think more funding is definitely a step in like relieving some of those. And I put that like in a comment, and then they just like never replied to that. So, I mean, they either, you know, got distracted or whatever, or I feel like I kind of like hit them with that, like, oh shit, that kind of does make sense, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, that's my hope. That's my hope. But, you know, I never know because they never replied. But that's all I ever try to do with like people on, you know, Facebook, Twitter, like just try to get like, I know you're not always going to change people's minds. And most of the time you're probably not going to. But as long as you kind of get them to even consider like the other option, I feel like you've like succeeded in some way, you know?
Yeah, that
kind of gets the ball rolling for them.
Yeah, I was talking to my wife yesterday. I was standing in line at Vallarta, and it was a long line, and I was on my phone, and the person in front of me just struck up this conversation with me out of the blue. And she was really overweight, and really she didn't look well at all. And she starts talking about food, and then she asked me, she was like, "You look like you're healthy. You know, can you give me some pointers? I want to lose some weight." And I had, you know, what do I have here? I have a minute. So basically you got to try to, like you said, I try to implant something to think about in this person's mind. I don't want to change your mind. I don't want to look at the woman and say, you know, well, you got to do this, you got to do this. I just told her, I said, you got to make a decision to get better. And that's basically all you can do with the people that are listening to Trump and listening to Candace Owens. You've got to come down to the core of the truth and try to tell them, listen, here's an idea that I have that you just need to think about. I'm not telling you to change. I'm not telling you to not vote for Donald Trump. I'm not telling you to not watch Fox News. I'm just telling you, think about the truth for a little bit. And that thing that I posted on Facebook the other day about they're taking the statue down, and I replied to one of those people like, I'm taking after you, Lalo. When I see it, I'm like, I don't want to attack people. I just want people to stop and fucking think. And I said, look at what's happening here. Here's this statue of Robert E. Lee being taken down, and look at all the comments, thousands of fucking comments of people just attacking one another back and forth, nobody's saying anything. And I said, you've got this issue that makes it doesn't matter. It's a fucking statue. And while we shoot each other and the world's on fire and we're running out of water, and all they're doing is taking your rights a little bit at a time because they've divided everybody to both sides. I got some comments back that were all positive, dude. And they were like, you know, you're right. We got to stop this fucking back and forth nonsense of we're so distracted we can't, you know, they slip in while we're fighting over a fucking statue, they slip in a bunch of laws that take away your voting rights, and no one paid any fucking attention to it. And then here's my tin hat. They sit in the back room in the smoke-filled room with their money, counting their money and laughing at us while we're out here arguing about should we take the statue down.
Yeah, and it's like things that aren't even that like big of a deal. We just make them into like a big deal, you know?
Yeah, yeah. What if your idea? What if you implemented your idea, just one, and said, okay, all schools get equal funding, no matter what? Can you imagine what that would do to inner city schools? That suddenly they get 4 times the money they had, and they can buy the computers and the books, and they can pay their teachers and bring in the therapists and do all the things that schools with money have. And you could turn our culture around in a matter of a decade.
And you still have people arguing against it.
Yeah.
You have people crying. Well, you know, I moved to this neighborhood because I knew I was paying higher taxes so my kids can go to a better school. And now that money's being taken away from them.
And that's not really what happened at all. They just wanted to live a better life, and a better school happens to be there. But when you try to take it away from them, take their little better life away from them, they're like, no, but what about me? And that's what we need. We need to stop doing that whole what about me thing and say, what about our culture? What about our society? We got to do something, man, because this obviously is not fucking working.
Yeah, because I mean, and you know, and I've said this many times, like on here and then just talking to people, that the United States is very like, if you really think about it, we're very like selfish as a country. And I think a lot of problems we have kind of stem from that. Like it's all about, if I'm good, that's all that matters to me. Like I could care less about anybody else.
It's hard to care about others. It really is.
Yeah. Especially when it comes even a little bit, and even if it's like doesn't affect you all that much, even if it's like a little at your expense, like people are like very hesitant to like give up anything.
Well, once you get the hot tub, you know, once you get the hot tub and the nice couch and the nice car and then your swimming pool out back, and you start living that life, it becomes difficult to say, okay, I need to turn around and help other people. It really does. And I don't know why, but you hit the nail on the head, dude. We've always been a selfish culture. And I think that the amount of time that has gone by that we've been selfish just deepens that self-preservation.
When, I mean, in reality, we have like the capability and the resources to like help, you know, everybody, at least here in the United States.
Yeah.
Like we're able to do that. We just choose not to. I think that's very like, I don't know, it says a lot about like, I don't know, our mindset or just the way we run our society. Because like, you know, like if you really like just stop everything and just really like think about it, how there's, you know, like you've mentioned, like people, there's fucking billionaires like going off into space. And in that same country, you have kids and people dying of starvation.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could cry and say, oh, well, you know, it's their money. They could do whatever the fuck they want with it. Yeah, sure. But don't you think we have some sort of like moral obligation and like moral responsibility to like help those people? And, you know, if your answer to that is no, then, I mean, I feel like I can't help you after that.
Well, yeah, you can't. The conversation can't go on after that because now it became a different conversation. Do you think we should help people? No. Okay, now the conversation becomes why? Come on. You're riding a dick into space, bro. Come on. And in the not only in the same country, in the same city you launched the dick that people are starving in the streets, people are homeless, and gun violence, and you have the capability to solve problems at a base level. And in a capitalistic society, what solves the problems, Lalo? Money.
Yeah.
And you're I don't know, spraying champagne on each other because you were weightless for a few seconds, and now, your reasoning becomes, well, now space travel is accessible. No, it's not. When you talk about it costs you $250,000 for the ticket, it's not accessible. People spend $250,000 on a house that they pay for 30 fucking years. And you're just saying, yeah, you could drop a quarter mil and go be weightless for a little while. And that somehow justifies you stepping over a homeless person on your way to ride your dick into space. It doesn't work.
And I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I get like I don't know. I don't know if it's like necessity, but I get that we should also like push boundaries, and like innovate and all that bullshit. I get that, and I'm good with that. Like, I agree, but people act like it has to be one or the other when it doesn't. We could literally do both. We could, innovate and go into fucking space and colonate Mars, and we can, try to solve, the poverty issue we have here at the same time. Like, there is enough money, there is enough resources, there is enough food to do those things. We just choose not to.
I had a debate with someone in college that stuck with me, and this is a 20-year-old comment that has rattled around in my fucking head. And we were talking about poverty, and I said, some people, I still remember the conversation. I said, some people can't, they can't keep food in their house because they don't have refrigeration. And her comment to me was, there are not enough refrigerators for everybody to have one. And that right there, dude, that cemented in my mind what I'm dealing with when I argue with people like that. When I have discussions with people like that, they have these false beliefs that there's not enough to go around. There's not enough food. There's not enough water. There's not enough comfort for everybody to have what I have. And for them not to have it is not my problem because it's not there anyway. And that's the fucking lie that they believe.
Yeah. And it's just, I don't know, man. It's like sad and like frustrating because, you kind of like, I've thought about this like a few times. Like, you kind of just get that, like, I'll talk to myself and say like, if we could only like do this one thing, it could kind of like start a snowball effect,
Yeah.
If we could change this one thing, people will see that, this works. Or, if it doesn't work, okay, but at least we tried it. But we're incapable of even doing that, of doing like the minimum when it comes to trying to fix like the real issues that we have.
Yeah, I agree. If we could do just one thing, and that's on a macro level. Let me bring it down to a micro level for you and what's happening in my house right now. My wife, I've been eating right and holistically healthy and exercising every day for fucking years now. And I've been doing it in front of her. And she's seen how it has affected me and changed me in so many positive ways, and the weight loss and the healthy and the feeling good. And now she's implementing things that I'm doing, and she's starting, and we had a conversation yesterday of how she was wanting to order a pizza, and she said, I just realized I don't need it because it just makes me feel bad. So what's happening in her brain at a micro level is she's starting to do the things that are good for her, starting to feel the effects of it, and it's snowballing in her head. Now it's starting to tell her, I don't need the pizza. I don't need that. I don't need to do this. I need to take a walk. Because the more I do, the better I feel. Now, if we took that to a macro level and said, let's put money in schools, let's just do that. then you're talking about, oh my God, they're genius level kids down in the hood, and now we're gonna mine that. We're gonna mine. They're gonna come up and they're gonna invent things, and they're gonna make the world a better place, and then that's gonna make our culture a little better. And then we start to see just that one thing, dude. Like you said, just that one fucking thing. Just do it, and you'll see that holistically we could become a much better culture, and all we have to do is start. But we are that fucking obese, sick, Cheeto eating motherfucker laying on the couch that doesn't want to do anything. And that's what America is. Just, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to start. I don't want to do the smallest goddamn thing to make my culture better. I just want to lay here and eat Cheetos and watch TV.
Yes, I mean, I was reading like this poll that they were saying like the percentage of people like Americans that think that just overall things are bad right now. And I think it was like at 69% or like 70%. So I mean, that's like, whether you're on the right or the left, like chances are you think shit's like something's bad, with the country the way it is now. And I read that and I thought to myself, like, what's going to happen when that gets to like 90%, I feel like the unrest and like just the divisiveness is going to be like, tenfold or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And I've mentioned it to you before, like, I feel like we're heading towards like a tipping point where I don't know what's going to happen, but I feel like for sure something's going to happen,
Well, why can't it be good?
I think that's a possibility, but I mean, the more I think about it, the more like, I don't know, pessimistic I am that the good will happen, but only after something really bad happens.
Yeah, you're right, because that's human mind works. It's like I drive like a fucking moron until I have a bad car accident and kill someone, and then I straighten up.
Right.
Yeah, I eat terribly until I have a fucking heart attack, and then I'm like, oh, I need to do better. So you're right. We need some kind of crazy fucking revolution or some violent shit that happened to wake us up.
Yeah, and I mean, I hope it doesn't get to that. Like, I hope we can make that realization before, that crazy violent revolution happens. But
Yeah.
I mean, in the way we're heading, I hope it doesn't happen, but I feel like it is gonna happen. Whether it may be, like race relations, or I mean, if I was a betting man, I would put it on like classism. I think like the people at the bottom here in this country are gonna get like real tired of seeing fucking people go into space for fun while they're over here fucking dying.
Yeah, but just hopefully they don't take it out on the guy with the hot tub. They need to
And
take it out on the guy with the spaceship. See, that's what I'm saying.
and to be honest, like this whole like COVID situation, I feel like it expedited a lot of that. It kind of sped things up because I mean, for a while you saw a lot of people were, like unemployed.
Yeah.
And they were good, like chilling on unemployment instead of going to work for, $7.50 an hour or whatever it may be, wherever you live. And it's like, it kind of it gave a lot of people, in my opinion, whether directly or indirectly, like some sort of like self-worth,
Mm-hmm.
They're like, fuck that. I'm not going to go work for fucking $10 an hour. Like I can make more money not working, even if it's temporary. Like I know like that shit's not worth it. That job, whatever it may be, it's not worth the $10, the $12.
Right.
Because
Right.
I can't live off that. I can't provide for my family off that. And, yeah, you could call them lazy. You could call them, ungrateful or whatever. But they're right at the end of the day. Like, you can't live off that. I had an uncle, he came in from Arizona not too long ago. And he was telling me how he works like in an auto body shop. And he said, like, they're hiring, like, bad. Like, they need people. And he's like, these people, like, they don't want to come back to work. And I told him, like, that's good. Like, in a sense, like that's good because that's gonna force like your boss and the people that own that place, they're gonna have to pay them more. You're gonna have to incentivize people to come back to work.
Yeah, you're going to have to take less profit to do it.
Yeah. And like you said, at the end of the day, like everything in this country runs on money. So the way to do that is, just pay them more. And yeah, you're going to take less profit, but I guarantee you any business person would take less profit over going out of business. Unless their pride and ego is like that big. But for the most part, and guess what? That boss, they're still going to be fine. They're still going to be making a lot more money than you. They're just going to be making slightly less more money than you.
They're going to have to get a new truck every 5 years instead of every 3.
Yeah. Making, a boss making, like a small percentage less doesn't impact them as much as somebody making, $20-$25 an hour. Jumping from, 12 $14, $15 an hour to 25 or whatever it may be.
Right.
That's like life changing for a lot of people.
Yeah, you can't see when you're running on the fucking treadmill. You don't have time to think about it, dude. And before pre-pandemic, you got lots of people out there working 2 jobs and 3 jobs and being a bartender at night and waiting on tables and doing all the fucking shit they're doing just to try to get by, falling into bed exhausted, no time for themselves. All of a sudden, here comes the pandemic. They can't do those jobs. They get on some assistance, and all of a sudden they have time to ponder, what the fuck am I doing? Look at me now. I've got a little bit of happiness. I've got this money. I'm not working myself to death. And, even the dumbest motherfucker will, once they have time to ponder their lives, you can't see the treadmill when you're running on it, dude. And that's what happened. The treadmill stopped, everybody got off, and now they don't want to go back to it. And who does? When you've been home for a fucking year and a half, who wants to go back? Oh, well, guess what? I got 2 of my 3 jobs back, and I'm working on that 3rd one. No, that's not the way you're going to think. Not at all.
Yeah. So, yeah, I just feel like it kind of expedited, like, that feeling of, like, self-worth and, like, we don't need this and, like, we could do better type of mentality for a lot of people. So I think, hopefully it ends up being, like, it leads to something good,
I hope so. Well, it can. And that's what I've been trying to tell people, Facebook, social media, if you want to sit down and talk to me, I'm trying to, in my life, say we don't need to be so fucking angry, Lalo. That's how we react to everything now. And I get we're angry. There's most people in this country are living paycheck to paycheck, and they're poor and they're sick and they're overweight and they're out of shape and they're tired and they're reacting angrily to everything. It's like, why do we need to do that? Why can't we be constructive? Why can't we see the real problems that we have? And it's not an abortion law. It's the fucking violence and the fucking anger and the undereducated and these politicians that herd us like fucking cattle and drive us with our emotions. Why can't we see that? Where they're heading us is right towards the cliff, and we need to stop. We need to stop shooting each other. We need to stop we need to stop this violent culture that we're living in. The whole world sees it. And a lot of people, if you talk to people from out of the country, they don't even want to fucking come here on vacation because fuck, they might get shot. And we do shoot tourists. I've seen it in the, guy comes over here from France a couple months ago, shot in the fucking head during a robbery. Just visiting. I guess maybe tell them to visit safer places. Is that right? Is that what we should do? Or maybe we could just stop being so angry.
At this point, I don't think there's a such thing as a safe place here. Because you think you're in a safe place, and then the next thing you know, shit's like going crazy. So
yeah, you're in Texas, you get raped, you can't have an abortion. I mean, come on. No place is safe. They're going to take your morals, or they're going to take you morally, or take you down violently. Fucking crazy, man. Well, man, we're an hour and 10. It's time to go do something. I feel better. I'm not so hungover. Appreciate it.
Nice little wake up.
Well, I drank 3 cups of coffee and a pre-workout drink and 2 bottles of water. So I think I'm hydrated. I think that's all it was.
Well, today's the first Sunday of like the football season, so
I know.
you know where I'll be.
And you know where I'll be. Is the Steelers playing today on television?
They should be, unless they play tomorrow.
All right. Oh,
It's
wait.
definitely either today or tomorrow.
Did you see Brady on Thursday?
They look good.
Holy shit, man. And then Gronk's like, well, he's tweeting out like,
They're just turning back the time. The
I'm
clock.
not going to stop until he does, so fuck it. He was looking good, so. Who's your buddy, the football guy?
Ralph.
Yeah.
He's I'm guessing he's at his house, but
All right,
I'll talk to him. Maybe he could come on.
Yeah, it's a beginning that we need to have that beginning of the season thing and get off of this fucking violent political merry-go-round that we ride on every weekend. We're all dying. Take a break from that to say, hey, football. which is part of the problem that we're watching football instead of, but whatever. Do it
I
again.
think it's a needed break from reality, at least for me.
Definitely. I use movies and football to get away from it. And, I think we all need a break from it. And that calms me down. It calms me down. I try to think about all this logically and calmly, and I'm taking in Russell Brand. That's the guy. Yeah, that's his name. I try to take that in, and the Candace Owens, and watch a little Fox News and watch a little CNN, and I try to take all this shit and put it together in this coherent psychological mind thing that we got going on now. I try to make it work. And I think if more people did and stopped, listening to a single fucking source, we'd be better off. Because, yes, Candace, come on. Every now and then she's 1,000 monkeys at 1,000 typewriters for 1,000 years is going to type, the works of Shakespeare. Every now and then she's going to say something that makes a little sense. Every now and then Russell Brand says something. Every now and then Joe Rogan says something. So we're all in the same boat. We just got to stop being so fucking pissed off at each other.
Yeah. And I mean, it's natural for people to have like different, opinions. And like, I get that. And I think a lot of that just comes from like perspective,
Yeah.
And people, we kind of just tend to like stick to our own perspective, when we should try to like look at it from other people's perspective.
Yes, and this is what you have taught me.
And it kind of gives us like that insight into like not only what they're thinking, but like why are they thinking that,
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's the best way that we can try to like help each other. It's kind of, that whole cliche of like, walk a mile in my shoes.
Yeah, definitely.
To try to like get inside their mind and, whether you agree or disagree, kind of like talk to them about, why you agree or disagree. But don't try to always use like your emotions when it comes to like those like conversations.
Yeah, and that's where the issue that I have is you get emotional every single time I bring up something that you disagree with, that you got to personally attack me or,
Because I mean, a lot of people do get emotionally invested in certain like topics.
Yeah.
They might have some like personal involvement in it, or, it's affected them at a personal level. And I mean, that's okay. It's okay to get emotional. Like we're emotional beings,
Right.
But we shouldn't try to let emotions like ruin our judgment or like make very like important decisions for us, because those tend to be like the wrong ones when they're emotionally charged, you know?
Yeah, my
So,
boxing coach, I told somebody the other day, when the heated argument started, I said, "Listen, my boxing coach told me when I was up and coming as a fighter, never get angry in the ring. Never get angry during the fight. You'll lose
yeah.
because you'll begin to you stop thinking when you get angry, and that's what we need to do with the debates that we have with these other people. I need to understand that, well, I'm lucky in that I've grown up in abject poverty. I've owned my own businesses. I've been affluent at times in my life. I've been really hurt. I've been really sick. I have this wide range of experience to pull from. So maybe I understand a little poverty a little bit better. Maybe I understand the affluent a little bit better. And there has to be people within our culture and within our society, and especially who would join the conversation, that have a wide range of experience, that they can say, okay, I understand your poverty, and I understand your anger. I understand your affluence, and I understand your fear. But there's ways that we can take all that fear and anger and take it apart and look at it and say, hey, we're fucking human beings. And that the poor person needs to say, yeah, the rich are afraid that they're going to lose their way of life. And the poor person says, yeah, you got to be angry when you're working 3 jobs and you're working 80 hours a week and you still can't pay your bills. That would piss me off too. But instead, we're like, you just made those fucking choices. And the poor person's like, well, you're just fucking lucky. So we're not talking to each other.
Yeah.
We're just blaming each other. Like I said, the affluent person says, you made the poor fucking choices. That's your problem. And the poor person says, well, you were born with a silver spoon in your mouth. That's your problem. So we need to stop with the personal attacks. We need to stop being angry and sit down at the table and say, hey, what do we have in common here, and how can we work together, and how can we make this better? Maybe you could give money to the schools instead of, a giant dick into space. And the affluent person could say, okay, maybe you could calm down a little bit and we could talk about it.
Yeah.
I think
It's gonna take
oh
a
my,
collective effort.
well, that's where I say I hope that's where it comes to, when the situation comes to a head, that we all sit down at the table and say, all right, let's work this out. Because killing each other, I really don't feel like storming your mansion and taking your shit and breaking it, because that makes me look bad. And on the other side, it's like, well, I really don't feel like calling out an army of fucking cops to arrest all of you and put you in prison, because that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, and that's just gonna like drive shit even more crazy.
Yeah, welcome to the revolution, right? Well, I'm putting your picture on my T-shirt. It'll say Shay, Shay Lalo, and you'll have that little black and white thing that going on, the colorful. Yeah, we'll do that. I need those T-shirts right away. Said the Thoroughly Wrong Project on the back and your picture on the front.
Sounds good.
All right, man. Well, have a good football day, brother.
All right, man. Try to get over your hangover.
I told you, man. Talking to you healed me. I'm telling you. I'm feeling good. And next Saturday, I'll do it all over again. But it's a sober week. And maybe, I'll after I do this for a few cycles, maybe I'll talk about it a little bit. Because I think I think sobriety is a fucking cult. And it's hard when you're surrounded by stimulants and alcohol and marijuana, and you got all this shit around you, and you just say, I'm not going to do that at all. So if we had a little more self-control and we said, okay, on Saturday, I'm going to give myself the opportunity to drink, and I'm going to be sober all week, then that's like 6 days without an orgasm, man.
Everything's always good in moderation.
Exactly. We'll talk about that next time. All right, dude. Because it's important. It's important in my life to be able to get fucked up.
I think it's important in everybody's life at some point.
Exactly. Go to a basketball game and get fucked up in the stands. That's all right. That's what we do. All right, dude. It's been good, man. Always good. And try to take care of your neighbor this week. Do something nice. Hold the door open for somebody. And when you do, and they say thank you, remind them. Do something nice for somebody today because you owe the world. I usually tell people that, and they look at me confused and they go, okay, I'll try. So hold the door open for somebody and it'll lead them to hold the door open. Do something nice, right?
Yeah.
All right. This has been Bob.
And Lalo.
And this has been the Thoroughly Wrong Project. And just remember, always want to remind you, we're just two guys and we could have been thoroughly fucking wrong. So if you're pissed off, calm down, think about what we said, take a grain of truth out of it. We'll see you next week, man. Later, brother. You have now experienced the Thoroughly Wrong Project with your podcast hosts, Lalo and Bob. We can now be found on Pandora Radio, Apple Podcasts, Podium Podcast, or by searching The Thoroughly Wrong Project to locate our YouTube channel. You can contact us directly by email at thoroughly-wrong@gmail.com or just leave a comment on any of our platforms. Until next time, thanks for spending your valuable time with us, and remember, always speak up and never be afraid to be thoroughly wrong.